India to order 300 Dhanush 155mm howitzers to form 15 new artillery regiments. The Indian Army is moving to order 300 additional Dhanush 155mm 45 caliber howitzers, a step that would sharply expand organic long-range fires, create 15 more artillery regiments, and deepen India's shift toward a larger indigenous 155mm gun base. Reported this week by ANI and amplified by other defense outlets, the follow-on buy would come on top of the original 114-gun order and signals that New Delhi now sees the Dhanush not as a stopgap, but as a scalable in-service capability. In practical terms, the decision is about restoring artillery mass after decades of procurement drift and giving commanders more tubes for suppression, interdiction, counter-battery fire, and sustained support in hard terrain along India's land frontiers. The Dhanush is far more than a licensed rerun of the Swedish FH-77B Bofors gun. India's Ordnance Sector used the original transfer of technology package for the 155mm/39 caliber Bofors and re-engineered it into a 45 caliber weapon, a change that lengthened the barrel and pushed the system into a more capable range band. Official Ministry of Defense releases describe an inertial navigation-based sighting system, auto-laying, onboard ballistic computation, an advanced day and night direct firing system, a modern target acquisition suite, and communications compatibility with the Army Shakti Artillery Combat Command and Control System. The gun weighs under 13 tons, has 400 mm ground clearance, elevation from -3 degrees to 70 degrees, traverse of 60 degrees, and an auxiliary self-propulsion arrangement that helps it deploy and reposition in mountainous terrain without depending entirely on the towing vehicle. Its battlefield value lies in how those features translate into tactical effect. The Dhanush fires standard NATO 155mm ammunition and can use bimodular charge systems, which official sources say increase range. Open reporting places its reach at roughly 38 kilometers depending on ammunition and propellant configuration, compared with about 27 to 30 kilometers for the older Bofors standard cited in reporting on the platform's evolution. That gives Indian formations a materially better counter-battery envelope, deeper interdiction reach against assembly areas and logistics nodes, and a stronger ability to strike from more protected gun areas. Digitized laying and ballistic computation also reduce response times and improve first-round effectiveness, both critical in mountain warfare, where firing windows can be short and relocation after firing is essential to survive enemy surveillance and return fire. India needs a weapon in this class because its artillery problem is not solved by any single gun family. The Army already fields the U.S. origin M777 for heli-lifted employment in difficult terrain, and the K9 Vajra tracked self-propelled gun for high-tempo maneuver and powerful fires on the Western Front. It also signed contracts in March 2025 for 155mm/52 caliber ATAG systems explicitly to replace vintage and smaller caliber guns and improve operational readiness. Dhanush sits between those categories as a domestically supportable medium-towed howitzer that can be fielded in numbers, maintained through Indian industry, and moved into sectors where the Army wants more reach than legacy guns, but does not always need the weight, logistics footprint, or cost of heavier tracked or next-generation long-range systems. That combination is especially relevant for a force-balancing mountain requirements against China and large frontage demands opposite Pakistan. The project's development arc also explains why this order matters politically and industrially. After the 1987 Bofors purchase, India's heavy artillery acquisition stagnated for years, even though the Kargil War reinforced the decisive value of 155mm firepower. The Army's Field Artillery Rationalization Plan and later Artillery Profile 2027 were designed to reverse that decline by standardizing around 155mm systems across multiple categories. Dhanush emerged from that effort as a joint program involving the Ordnance Factory Board, the Indian Army, DRDO, BEL, SAIL, and private firms. The gun completed arduous trials in desert and high-altitude conditions, received bulk production clearance in February 2019, and the first 6 guns were handed over in April 2019. But the program then suffered from muzzle-hit incidents, production quality concerns, and fresh reliability firing, with reporting in 2022 showing the Army still validating performance before wider fielding. India already fields Dhanush systems, although open-source counts have varied as deliveries progressed. ENI reported this week that around 4 regiments have already been inducted and 2 more are expected soon, while reporting in June 2025 described 2 operational regiments and a third being raised under the original 114-gun plan, which covers 6 regiments. What is no longer in doubt is that Dhanush has crossed from prototype status into Army service. In force structure terms, it is part of the broader mediumization drive intended to phase out vintage and smaller caliber artillery and reduce dependence on aging Bofors-era stocks by moving more of the regiment of artillery toward a common 155mm family. The strategic significance of a 300-gun repeat order, therefore, goes beyond the weapon itself. It would stabilize production for AWEIL, deepen India's domestic gun-making ecosystem, and give the Army a credible mass induction path while ATAGS scales into service. Combined with M777, K9 Vitra, and ATAGS, the Dhanush follow-on suggests India is finally constructing a layered artillery architecture instead of chasing disconnected buys. For Army recognition readers, that is the real story. India is not simply purchasing another howitzer. It is rebuilding the density, commonality, and survivable firepower that modern land campaigns demand.